My stepmother always bragged about her natural children being smarter than me, so I showed everyone the report cards she's been hiding for years. Delilah started the comparisons the week she married my dad. I was 12, still grieving my mother's death, when she moved her perfect twins into our house. Bryce and Juniper were 10, blonde, and according to Delilah, destined for greatness. My children have gifted minds, she'd announce at dinner parties. Unlike some kids, they don't need tutoring. Natural intelligence runs in my family. She'd ruffle their hair while shooting me pointed looks. Dad would just nod, too exhausted from grief to notice the poison dripping from her words. For 3 years, I watched her parade them around like trophies. Parent-teacher conferences became Delilah's personal stage, gushing about their advanced reading levels and mathematical abilities. They're both reading at high school level, she'd brag to neighbors. Teachers say they've never seen anything like it. Meanwhile, she'd hide my report cards before Dad got home. When he asked about school, she'd sigh dramatically. Well, we can't all be naturally gifted. Some children just struggle more. The breaking point came during my sophomore year. Delilah was hosting her book club, and the conversation turned to children's achievements. As usual, she launched into her speech about her superior offspring. Bryce scored in the 99th percentile, she announced proudly, and Juniper's taking advanced placement courses as an 8th grader. The women nodded admiringly while I served refreshments, invisible as always. That's when I remembered the locked filing cabinet in her office. For months, I'd noticed her stuffing papers into it whenever Dad came home. That night, I picked the lock with a bobby pin, a skill I'd learned from YouTube during my lonely afternoons. Inside, I found hidden documents, report cards dating back 3 years, Bryce's grades, C's and D's across the board. Juniper's performance, equally dismal. Teacher comments about missing assignments, disruptive behavior, and recommendations for remedial programs. I found letters from their previous school about Bryce's aggressive behavior, documentation of Juniper's suspension for cheating, IEP documents recommending special education services for both children. Delilah had been lying about everything. The next evening, she hosted a PTA meeting in our living room. 20 parents gathered to discuss the academic achievement banquet. Naturally, Delilah volunteered to coordinate the honor roll celebration. It's so important to recognize naturally gifted children, she said, beaming. Like my Bryce and Juniper. I waited until she finished her speech, then stood up with my laptop. Speaking of academic achievement, I said, connecting to our TV, I thought everyone might enjoy seeing some recent report cards. Delilah's face went white as Bryce's grades appeared on the screen. Math, D-, English, F, Science, D+. The room fell silent. There must be some mistake, Delilah stammered. I clicked to the next slide. Juniper's report card showed similar results, complete with teacher notes about missing homework and classroom disruptions. These are from last semester, I explained calmly. I found them in your filing cabinet, along with 3 years of similar reports. The gasps were audible as I displayed the suspension letters and special education recommendations. Dad walked in just as I showed the final slide, a letter asking Delilah to consider alternative educational placements due to her children's behavioral struggles. What's going on here? He asked. Delilah crumbled. I can explain. No need, I said, ejecting my USB drive. The documents speak for themselves. The parents filed out quietly, whispering among themselves. That night, Dad apologized for not seeing what was happening and promised things would change. Delilah moved out 2 weeks later, taking her naturally gifted children with her. I kept those report cards though, just in case anyone else needed to see the difference between natural talent and natural deception.